What's up, guys? What's going on, AO fam? Bryan Clayton here at you this month. Gonna answer y'all's questions. Let's get into it. How do I determine what KPIs is set up for a new marketing rep I am bringing on so I can track activities? I own a home inspection company in Naples, Florida, and need to bring on a marketing rep to grow my business. They will do outreach to spheres of influence like real estate brokers, etc., and get them to send their property inspections to us as opposed to current vendors. I want to track results. How would you go about doing that? Okay, so in terms of KPIs, you don't have to overthink it. Literally, just lay out the steps. So let me back up. There's output metrics and there's input metrics. So an output metric would be like sales. How much sales did this sales rep generate this month? That's an output metric. Or how many deals did they close? Or how many new customers did they get us? That's an output metric. Then there are input metrics. How many new email contacts did they get off of LinkedIn or Google or Yelp or Facebook groups or whatever? How many outbounds did they do? Cold emails, cold phone calls, cold office visits. How many deals did they present in terms of new proposals? How many closes did they get? How many objections did they get due to high price? How many deals did they lose due to we just didn't get to them in time? Things like that, the input metrics, the things that go into the daily inputs to get to the output. Those are the KPIs you need to track. You don't just need to like throw up a KPI like, okay, how much sales did they generate? Because you don't really know how you got there. And then you don't really know how to diagnose what part of the process is breaking down. So track the input metrics and the output metrics will come. Reward the process that you lay out for them in terms of prospecting, deal set meeting set up, pitches presented, deals closed, business won. Reward the process. Don't just reward the output metric. There's a great book called Predictable Revenue. That's all that book is about, and I would recommend you read that. Next question is from Ashley Letourneau. I have a 3,000 square foot office mat space to use during the day, trying to figure out how to use it best. I am partnering with my coworkers at a martial arts gym, and we are trying to bring in a different revenue streams, use the facility to its full potential. Right now it's empty from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Wow, that's a lot. It's an A-plus prime location in a wealthy neighborhood right off the highway in the same plaza as Costco. Okay. Well, something like this, I think you're going to have to experiment a lot. I don't think there's one silver bullet. If you say you're in a wealthy neighborhood, some things that come to mind: yoga, Pilates. Maybe you might try to rent it out privately. Maybe there's like some yoga trainers in your neighborhood, and they have a tough time finding space for their clientele. Maybe maybe there's like a product that's not being served to the community, like Krav Maga or Muay Thai or something like that. I personally have ran into this problem. I have a Krav Maga coach that I pay $150 an hour to, and guess what? We don't train together anymore because he lost his lease on his place. And he's a small-time guy. He's probably got 20 clients. I'm one of them. And we used to train 3 or 4 times a week, but now we can't train anymore because there's no place for us to go. So there might be a niche you can carve out for smaller coaches for Krav Maga, Muay Thai, Jiu Jitsu, Taekwondo, things of that sort that want to like develop a one-on-one coaching program, and they can't afford their own space to the tune of $2 or $3 a month or $5 a month, but they would rent your space for $500 an hour or $200 an hour for their classes, something like that. That might be the first thing I did. The other thing I would do, maybe, and that may be a dead end. What you may have to do is bring on a new product line where you market Muay Thai coaching or boxing coaching or Pilates classes or yoga, and you bring in an instructor and do a revenue share program with them. Maybe pay them 40% of whatever it is that you guys bring in. And guess what? You get 10 people in there at $50. That's $500. They make 200, you make 300. That might be an option. My guess is if I woke up in your shoes, you're probably going to have to develop the product line from the ground up. But maybe not. Maybe do some networking and try to just get one person to rent it for 1 hour per week. You will learn more doing that than trying to fill it up all at once. Next question, Kristen Pitts. What is the goal and timeline to start paying an income out of your business? I am in need of help setting up a new profit goal structure to follow. I'm in the apparel wholesale business. I am a startup. I just had my first test market, and this next upcoming season will be my first true season in business. I am investing every penny into my startup and have no issue continuing to do that for as many years possible. I want to lay out a timeline and goals to look forward to. A rough outline, if there is one. It's a good question, and there's a couple different schools of thought. Venture capitalists, like if you had an investor, they would want you to pay yourself a market salary day one. Why? Because they want you to be comfortable. They don't want you to be stressed out about money. They want you to focus on the business. And that makes great sense. But the reality is most of us don't have deep pocket venture capitalists just throwing money at us. And so we have to be more practical. I fall into the camp of like what Mark Cuban says. Mark Cuban says the least you can live on, the greater your options. And what he means by that is in the early days of a startup, particularly if you're self-funding it, which it sounds like you are your business. Your business is you. Your personal finances, guess what? Pretty much are your business finances. So if it costs you $10,000 a month just to survive, it's going to be pretty tough to get a business going from scratch because you have to pay that. If you can reduce that to like $3,000 a month or $4,000 a month, guess what? Now you got $7,000 a month to plow back in your business. So my opinion is, the longer you can defer paying yourself a salary, the better, because then you can reinvest that money back in the business, buying new equipment, doing tests on marketing, bringing in contractors to help you with things like your marketing strategy and your product strategy, paying like the best consultants and freelancers and contractors to help you with the business. My opinion is like the more you can sacrifice personally, the better. For me, I run a company called GreenPal, which is a mobile app that connects homeowners and lawn care services. We're in year 10, and we're doing $30 million a year in revenue now. I pay myself a really good salary now. But the first 5 years, I didn't get a salary at all. Zero. Nothing. I did not pay myself one dime for 5 years. And my co-founders didn't either. They worked day jobs, and they worked at night on the business. And so my personal opinion is every dime that you can save to plow back into the business, the better your chances of success. Now, you need to, like, after 2 or 3 years of suffering, you need to have some kind of like line of sight to be able to generate enough money to pay yourself a market salary. And once you get an actual business going where you're doing $500,000 a year in revenue, $2 million a year in revenue, then you need to really pay yourself a market salary. And then you kind of shift into a different school of thought, which is the school of thought of pay yourself first. So in the beginning, it's pay yourself nothing, pay yourself last, get a business going, get $500,000 a year in revenue, $1 million a year in revenue, $5 million a year in revenue, then pay yourself first. There's a great book called The Richest Man in Babylon, And that's what that book is about. It's about paying yourself first. If some weird thing happens when you pay yourself first, like an expense, the rest of your business just magically gets more efficient. Whereas if you pay yourself last, then there's never any money left to pay yourself. So after you get a business going is when you should start paying yourself a good market salary. Hope that's clear. The answer, like many things, is it depends. Depends on what stage of the game you're at. First couple of years, no revenue, pay yourself peanuts. That's my opinion. Next question is from Lysandra Wilson. When should I give up on a potential client that is no longer communicating with you? I have a baking business that specializes in wedding cakes and desserts. I have some people at various stages who I have been working to nurture so they turn into a customer. But with one in particular, I am no longer hearing any response from them. It's been about 3 weeks since they did a cake testing and have not responded to any communication with me. I have left a voicemail, sent 2 follow-up emails. I want to make sure I'm not giving up before I give them a chance to respond, or is there any hint that they are no longer interested? It's a really good question. There's 2 different schools of thought. One is like spend your time on a customer that is going to do business with you. Don't waste your energy on one that's not. And then on the other hand, there's another school of thought of bug them until they buy or die. And so I think it comes up to personal preference. I really do. Like, I used to have a business partner, and his philosophy was bug these people until they buy or die. The old Glengarry Glen Ross mentality. And that's not my style. My style is probably more like how I'm guessing you are. You know, you emailed them 2 or 3 times, you left 2 voicemails, you gave them a free testing, they're not hitting you back. One of 2 things: either they're not going to buy from anybody, or there's just not a good fit. And unless you have nothing else, no other customers, you probably would be better off just letting this one go, and maybe checking in with them in 6 months. Put them in your CRM to check in with them maybe every 6 months, or put them on an email marketing list, because you never know, maybe they might come back alive. Never give up, but you might be better off looking at how do I prospect to get the phone ringing to where I have so much damn business, I don't care that this lady won't call me back. You might be better off doing what they call move up the funnel. Like, the funnel is like at the very top, there's awareness, and then there's activation, which is awareness is somebody just knows about your brand. Activation is they actually sign up and buy from you, and then there's revenue, where they paid you some money, and then there's retention, which means they buy from you all the time. So activation, awareness, revenue, and retention. So you might be better off spending that time moving up the funnel. How do I post pictures of my delicious cakes on Facebook groups? How do I get a virtual assistant to take this big Google Drive folder that I have of all of these mouth-watering pictures of cakes, and she goes and joins local Facebook groups in my metro, and I'm literally posting once a week in each group, and that'll get my phone ringing off the hook to where really I don't care that this other person isn't calling me back. That's probably what I would do if I were in your shoes. I would figure out a way to get the phone to ring more to where I don't care if somebody didn't call me back after I hit them up 5 times. Next question from Trent Pijas. How can I get more traffic to my website? I am asking this question because I am using email marketing to prospect potential clients for my work in commercial real estate. I send about 70 emails a day to dentists in my area, and then depend on what's opened, the email, and visited the site. I follow up with a call. I'd like to learn more how I can direct more dentists to using my Google, Facebook, and other tools. Good question. Hard question. It's hard to get traffic to your site. You're doing like outbound email marketing, which is great. That's a good tool to have at your dispense. But I would try to focus more on inbound. Meaning, what's my organic content strategy? What's my SEO strategy? How am I going to get people to find my website? And that's like a whole world of stuff that you got to learn. But I would start to become an expert at it. I would start spending at least an hour a day watching YouTube, taking online classes about how to learn search engine optimization, growing organic traffic. And what it boils down to is great content, links to your site, and a technically sound website. So those three things. Probably the most important of the three, especially at your stage of the game, is content. How do I build out the best blog for small dentists and the problems they face every day? So writing content on like the absolute best guide on how to get a customer to pay you when they won't pay you for a root canal. The best guide on how to upsell teeth whitening services to somebody who comes in for a routine checkup. The absolute ultimate guide to adding Invisalign to my dentist practice, even though I've never done any sort of orthodontics. Stuff like that, like writing one really good, thorough guide per week, maybe two. You do that for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, you'll start to develop some traffic to your website. All right, next question, Lysandra Wilson. What are great books and resources about sales? I have a baking business and want to work on learning how to sell my product and get more quality customers. I am participating in shows and fairs for my industry as well as starting to make connections with other industry professionals, but want to be more effective in prospecting customers and converting them into customers. Great question. First off, you run a bakery. Best book to read is The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. That's an awesome book about running a small business. It just so happens that the example that the whole book is about a lady with a bakery. And like the interesting thing is there's all these parallels from like the baking business to pretty much every business. And one of them is sales. And so the things you mentioned, shows, fairs, those are great, and you should be doing them. But I would focus more on the digital side. I would become an expert marketer on growing my Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Pinterest to have the absolute best videos and pictures and images of cakes that look so damn good I want to lick the screen. Like, you're going to have to become an expert at photography, videography, and social media marketing. The good news is you can do it. All you got to do is just take some courses on YouTube. You can learn like the 80% of what goes into becoming a good food photographer and a good food videographer and a good food social media marketer. It's not rocket science. You just got to develop the time to spend on learning these things. In business, you're doing three things at once. You're working in the business, you're baking the cakes, you're working on the business, developing the marketing strategy to sell the cakes, and the third thing is you're working on yourself. You're learning the skills. You have to learn good photography. You have to learn good social media marketing. You have to learn when is the best time and hashtags to use on Pinterest, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. And you have to set aside a process and a system to post this stuff and do it. And then the good news is after you do it for maybe a year, you can develop maybe an operating procedure to where you can get a virtual assistant to help you with half of these things or more. If you set aside time to work on yourself, to learn how to market this stuff on social media, and then develop the process, you'll find yourself in a totally different world in a year or two. That's the last question. Great questions this month, guys. I really, really appreciate it. Looking forward to talking to you all next month. Everybody have a great day. Keep grinding on your business. Peace.